Hello everybody, and welcome back to the King Fox channel. My name is Matt Conager, and I'm building a Kit Fox Series 7 STI, which is back there. Welcome to episode 53. Or maybe it's 54. Welcome to episode 54. In today's video, we're going to be putting the stringer on the underbelly of the beast. In previous episode, we put the stringers on this side here, the co-pilot side, and I put the stringer on the pilot side of the aircraft. So we've got another stringer up there in the bottom of that, up towards the front spar of that wing. I'm going to pull that out, get it down, clamped into the bottom of the fuselage, and measure things out, see what I need to mark off, cut it, and drill it, rivet it, epoxy it, etc., and get it mounted in the airplane. So if you haven't already done so, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the little tiny bell, ding ding, for notifications so you can tell your friends and family, and you get alerted when the videos come out so you don't miss a beat here on the King Fox channel. So thanks for coming back, and let's get into the video. Alright, I'm going to have to put another incomplete on here because we are incomplete as far as stringers go. So I've got the two side stringers on, but I'm not going to do the front until we put the door frame in there. So I'm just going to write incomplete and put that over here on the left side. Alright, let's test fit this thing. Having not read ahead for the stringer on the bottom of the fuselage, I was happy to find out that I didn't have to drill through the tube and through the framing on the fuselage using cutting oil above my head. So it was much easier to install this tube. Basically, it's just getting epoxied at the front and the back, and then I simply marked out on the stringer itself where it passed perpendicular underneath a framing member of the fuselage and drilled through that, which will get epoxy applied, followed by safety wire thereafter, making things much easier to install this tube. Insert the aft end of the stringer material into the gap just forward of the tail spring bolt mounting hole. Drill a hole horizontally through the stringer directly below the diagonal tube shown in detail A. Temporarily wire the aft end of the stringer in place against the fuselage tubing. Number 163. Mark and cut the front end of the stringer to length. Slightly compress the forward end of the stringer material as shown in detail B to fit inside the mounting bracket on the fuselage. With the stringer held in place, drill through the side of the forward mounting bracket and stringer with a number 40 bit. Remove the stringer and deburr the holes in the bracket. Number 164. At each point where the stringer passes under a fuselage cross tube, drill through the stringer with a number 40 bit as shown in detail C. Number 165. Prep the fuselage tubing and stringer at the front and rear attach points and at every contact point. Number 166. Apply a bonding mixture to the aft end of the stringer where it contacts the fuselage and safety wire it to that fuselage tubing as shown in detail A. Number 167. Apply a bonding mixture to the forward end of the stringer and mounting bracket and safety wire the stringer in place as shown in detail B. Number 168. At each point where the stringer passes under a fuselage cross tube, apply a bonding mixture and safety wire the stringer in place as shown in detail C. Now, once everything was squeezed, distortion occurred on the lower stringer. So the areas that I had marked for my drill hole, since they're in the fuselage, I'm not going to move those, but I think what I'll do is move them on the stringer itself, because as I squeezed it, the top became a little more rounded, therefore it sits a little bit lower in the bottom of the hole, so my holes aren't completely lined up. Since I don't believe it's structural, I'm going to drill out the stringer and not the fuselage. So I've remarked that where I need holes drilled, and set it up here on the bench. This bring you over here. Insert the aft end of the stringer material into the gap just forward of the tail spring bolt mounting hole, which is right here. So the aft stringer is going to go in there, and I don't know if we want it to like make a U around that bolt or not, but it's going to go in there, and then I believe it's going to come in all the way to the front up to here. So that's going to be the length of the stringer. I guess it's just going to go straight, perhaps. I'm about to find that out. You probably can't see very well, but so there's this bolt that goes up and down. So there's a tube there, basically. That bolt travels through a tube. And this is a round piece. So it won't quite fit between the upper horizontal and the lower horizontal white pieces in there. So I think what I'm going to do is crimp it down just a little tiny bit so that it actually fits in there. And then it talks about safety wiring this tube underneath a diagonal piece in figure A, which I looked at figure A and it's pointing to this area of the fuselage, but there's no diagonal tube. Now, the only place there's a diagonal tube is right here, which runs diagonal. And where the stringer runs underneath it is where I believe I would safety wire it. I'm not going to safety wire it yet. I'm going to crimp the end of this so that it goes inside there a little bit, and then I'll find this point, drill that hole, and temporarily safety wire it up there so that I can measure the front and cut it to length. Okay, as you can see, I've crimped that a little bit so that it's a little bit flatter to see if it will go inside this detail A in the back. Let's go take a peek. And it does now fit in there. You think you can see it slides in and contacts that bolt tube in there. So I'm going to call that good. And then this is the diagonal tube right here that I'm talking about. And I need to safety wire the stringer directly underneath where it crosses that diagonal tube. So for temporary purposes, I'm going to put a quick grip clamp on here, hold this baby in place. I am inside this back section, detail A where it says to be, and I'm going to make a mark here. And then I also have to drill a hole in the back horizontally through this piece. I'm going to drill through that tube, safety wire it up around this horizontal tube from what I gather. So I think we can do those two for now. Actually, I don't even think I need to safety wire it in place temporarily because I can put some clamps on it, just like I have over here. So I think what I'm going to do is come up to the front of the fuselage here, elevate the tube, and make a mark. And then I can clamp the front in place, and I can make a mark where it contacts my framing members. The concrete's hard, so I have my doctor's chair. So I'm just going to make a mark here, contacts the framing member, contacts the framing member, framing member, another framing member, lots of framing members, doesn't quite contact that one, contacts this one. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 point contact. 7 points of contact. Made sure that I'm perpendicular to the bend down at that end because that end is bent this way. This end needs to be bent this way. So I put my 2 boards on here, put my first wood clamp back like so, just snug, and then I took my other wood clamp, put it on the front here, and then applied steady pressure until I got a good squeeze on the tube. So, and I have it bent to the point where I think it's going to fit in that front section. So I'm going to show you what it looks like from the camera from the end. I figured that was maybe a little bit softer on the metal than using a vice grip like I did with the other end. As you come over here and we come down and look along the bottom of the fuselage, you see this piece over here. And I'm supposed to drill through this, through the tube and out the other side, but I'm pretty flush along the bottom, so we'll see how that happens. Alright, so what I did down here is give that a kind of a wishbone cutout, I guess, because it's going to go up against a bolt in the back of the fuselage, so that bolt goes vertical. So I wanted that to run around that bolt a little bit, and then I drilled a hole through it here, which is going to get safety wired and get accepted back here by that tail wheel. So it's going to go into this slot, and a little bit of the tube goes on each side of this bolt housing piece. That's why I hollowed it out just a little bit so it accepts in there. And then I filed the bottom and the top a little bit because it was hitting the welds that are up in there. And then I drilled it where it touches the cross member here. This cross member, 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 and this cross member, and then it gets accepted up into the front here, which I need to drill through this tab out the other side and basically through the tube that goes in the center, And you can see that that's going to be a little bit difficult to do. I'm probably going to have to drill through this side and then just drill through that side, because as you look through along the bottom of the fuselage, you can see that basically if I try to drill this way, there's no way I'm going to get the bit to flex and go through both sides straight. I'm just going to drill through here and then I'll hole punch, try to make a mark on the other side and see if I can get that drilled in. And then up here on the tube itself, I've got it drilled through. I've got it drilled through already on this end, both sides. So this is ready to go in the front of the airplane. And I'm just going to try to drill through those 2 tabs underneath and see if I can get everything to line up so I can get the safety wire through there. This one here isn't so bad. You can see I'm right on the edge there. And the other side a little bit above, so I can make that hole a little bit bigger. That one's really close. Let's get those drilled out. This drill bit's quite a bit sharper, it appears. Is it just, although this is aluminum, but not much effort required. I'll try to deburr those wobbly holes if I can. Probably not going to work well. I've just been hitting the tops, really. That side and this side. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. As I squeezed the pipe, where my hole locations were, I think were fine. However, then the tube, of course, got taller. So in the fuselage, it hits on the top, pushing it down, and that's what made my holes off. So I should have squeezed it first, set it up in there, and then drilled my holes in the side. Anyway, I think it's a little bit of the safety wire and the structural adhesive that's going to hold this together, so I'm not too concerned about it. But let's get things polished up with our Scotch-Brite, and then we'll clean everything off with our denatured alcohol. We'll mix up some Hysol. Hell yeah! And we'll get this guy put into the fuselage. Possibly what I should first is cut a few lengths of safety wire, so as soon as I can put some epoxy in, and then I can immediately apply my safety wire and pull the tube up tight into the fuselage, so I'm not waiting on anything. I need one up front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 pieces of safety wire. Denatured alcohol. Denatured alcohol, clean things up. Yeah! Alright, I think I said 9. Probably can pick up some more safety wire. Either way, I'll try to sort of measure some pieces probably, or just cut them all similar. I think we'll go about 4 inches on each one. Yeah, we'll try one at 4 here and see how that looks. I'll set it up in the back. We'll see what 4 inches gets us. I know what it gets me. Ouch. Right under the skin. That's awesome. Maybe we'll go 5 inches. 4 is probably enough, but I'll just leave that one in. Boy, that just went right in the old finger. It's awesome. So we'll go 5 inches. Compromise. Pretty technical stuff. 5. So that's number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last 2 I'm going to do 6 and 6 because I gotta go around some parts of the airplane, so we'll just make them a little bit longer. Wire, I assume, is cheap. I don't want to, maybe if I could pick it up, cut several pieces and then have to cut some more. So we'll just cut them a little bit longer. Alright, so that's the last 2. I'll leave those over here so they're separated. Keep these over here. We'll mix up some epoxy. This time I'll go with 1 gram and 1 gram. 3rd time's a charm, right? Right. Okay, let's set those aside. Tear it out. Epoxy adhesive resin. Try 1 gram. 1 gram. You can see that is not very much at all. So we got 1 gram there. Let's see if I can get in on the other side. 2 grams. That was easy. Alright, set this one in the trash. Close these 2 up. Alright, Got my other popsicle stick. We'll combine these two. And then we'll add a little bit of micro balloons. This is a lot of fun. I'm sure you guys really enjoy watching this. I know I would. Not sure why, but before I was building, I was pretty concerned about how to mix up the epoxy properly, and it's not a big deal. I tend to make mountains out of molehills sometimes and worry about little things that aren't important and not focus on some things that are important. Okay, so that's not a lot, and I'll just incorporate those little tiny balloons into the mix. There we go. So much better. Keep mixing, make sure it's all gray and everything's incorporated. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for a few minutes and seal things up, put the scale away, clean up the desk a little bit, and switch cameras. Here we go. Okay, and put a little bit of goop on all our contacts. So we can start with this one over here, since it already has a wire in it. And we'll check our back. Back end looks pretty good. It's pretty much where it needs to be. And the front is also where it needs to be, I think. So we'll start up front here. We'll put a little bit of goop on the front. And on the top. Okay. We'll come back to this. Skip the one with the clamp on it for now. Put a little bit right in here. Not going to be much making contact with that. This guy's centered. Keep it off the rudder cable best I can. A little bit on the side, and then I'll do a little bit on the other side. A little bit in here. And I can hit this one. Hopefully you're not just staring at the side of the fuselage. That's awesome. There we go. Squeeze them together. Lock her in place. That's great. Okay. We'll just keep trying. Those tails look pretty good. So I'm just gonna bend that guy aft. That seems to be holding pretty good. We'll do this one next here. It's quite difficult just to put a wire straight through, it appears. Yep. Wonder who drilled these. For crying in the beer. Pretty tight. Okay. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 5 and 6. Got a nice mat back here. Well, maybe I can go through this side and come out the other. We'll bring this one up. We'll bring them together. Okay. That's quite in there. It's in there good. So since that nut is there, I'm gonna tilt this one forward. Okay, we're gonna push it up in there. You probably can't see anything. Lord knows I can't. Don't want to break this one because it's such a fun spot to get to. So, alright, clamp coming off. Seems to be holding in place. That's a good thing. Took a lot longer than it should have. Let's see if we can touch up these fillets just a little bit. Like that out. Pretty it up. Okay. Quite a bit back here. Alright, this one I can sign off because it's the bottom stringer, and at each point where the stringer passes under a fuselage cross tube, apply a bonding mixture and safety wire the stringer in place as shown in detail C, which I've done. So let's sign that one off and turn the page. What's next?